If it's Wednesday, that must mean it's time to play some toss. I want to welcome all of you to another edition of the Tristain on Sports Show. This is your friendly neighborhood T-Squared. Tristain Thomas here with you for yet another edition. Glad to be with you. Glad that you joined us. We got a lot to get into, so let's hop right into State of the State. And the thing that we're going to start things off with is the thing we kind of waited last week to start things off with. We're going to start off with the Green Bay Packers. They came up with a 38-28 win against the Kansas City Chiefs at Lambeau Field under the bright lights of Monday Night Football. What more can you say about this offense? So let's jump right into those offensive stars of the game. Aaron Rodgers played like Aaron Rodgers normally does. He played like the reigning, defending National Football League most valuable player 2 times over that he is. Amazing night. I believe, what were the stats? 24-35, 333 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. I want to repeat that. No interceptions. That means that his interceptionless streak continues. It's some absurd numbers, almost up to 600 passing attempts if you include regular season and playoffs at Lambeau Field. 40-plus touchdowns without a pick. Hasn't had a pick since December of 2012. Some absurd number. He really takes pride in taking care of the football, and he takes pride in being able to take advantages of the weaknesses of the opponent's defense. He picked these boys apart last night. And I say last night because I'm taping this on a Tuesday. He took those boys apart. It was almost embarrassing to watch how many times he took advantage of the Kansas City Chiefs defense. It was, you almost felt sorry for those boys. You almost felt sorry for that whole entire secondary. Even the pass rush, they started to get to him a little bit there. But you got a guy in Justin Houston who came up with 22 sacks last season, half a sack away from tying Michael Strahan's all-time season sack record. You got a guy like Tamba Hali. This is a premier pass rushing combo. You got a guy back there like Eric Berry in the secondary. You would think that this defense would have been better. And they did play well in spots. But when you have a talent, the level, the caliber of an Aaron Rodgers, sometimes your best just isn't good enough. Sometimes his best is better. What do they always say? There is no defense for the perfect pass. Well, more times than not, Aaron Rodgers is going to give you the perfect pass each and every single time. It is an embarrassment of riches to have gone from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. We are seeing him play at a level that I don't think any other quarterback in the league right now is touching. A lot of people are going to argue with me about that. They're going to come out and they're going to bring up, well, look at the numbers that Tom Brady is putting up. He's got over 1,100 yards. He's got 9 touchdowns. He's got no interceptions. His team is 3-0. And it's a valid point. But when you look at what Aaron Rodgers is doing, Tom Brady has his full complement of weapons. He's got everybody. Okay, he's got everybody. He's got Gronkowski, who is the tight end in the NFL. After him, everybody else is secondary. Make no mistake about that. The premier tight end in all of the NFL is there. And I'm not cutting down what he's doing. I'm not slapping him in the face. I'm not insulting what he's doing. He's also playing at a high level. He's Tom Brady, who many consider to be a Mount Rushmore quarterback. But look at the level that Aaron Rodgers is playing without his full complement of weapons. He has a guy in Jordy Nelson, almost 100 receptions last year, over 1,500 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns, I believe. Gone. That production is gone. One of the premier deep threats in all of the NFL. He's not there for Aaron Rodgers. You have a banged up Randall Cobb with a shoulder injury. And boy, did he play a hell of a game. We'll get to that in a little bit. You have a guy they picked up essentially off the scrap heap. A guy that the Raiders stupidly decided to cut from their roster. A guy that the New York Giants stupidly decided to cut from their roster as well. Comes in, a week before the season begins, and now has 4 touchdown catches, at least 1 touchdown catch in every single game in James Jones. A guy who, by the way, people may have forgotten this, led the NFL in touchdown receptions when he played with Aaron Rodgers with 14. Then not to mention Devontae Adams went down again and was out for the game with that ankle injury. Eddie Lacy is banged up with the ankle injury. Guys are going down on offense, and yet the beat goes on. The beat continues to go on. And that has a lot to do with the brain trust of Mike McCarthy, Ted Thompson, that trust that McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers have in there, but also the trust that he has with Tom Clements, who's also been there a long time, calling the plays. You almost feel sorry for most secondaries because more times than not, Aaron Rodgers, when healthy, is going to pick you apart. And now it's scary because he is fully healthy. Last season, towards the end of it, he had that calf injury that robbed him of his mobility, and he still was able to will this team, along with the defense, and we'll get to them in a little bit, along with this defense, to the NFC Championship game. We all know they should have won it, but they didn't. But he willed them. He willed them down the stretch of the season and into the playoffs. The year prior to that, he had a shoulder injury. They got ousted in the playoffs early, but they still got there. Now he's healthy. So this tells me one thing. This guy stays healthy. This defense plays to the caliber that we all believe they can. And again, we'll get to that in a minute. Who out there is going to beat them? Can you legitimately tell me who is going to beat the Green Bay Packers with a healthy Aaron Rodgers? Hell, I could be out there. He could throw to me, and I could go out there and produce a 1,000-yard season. That's how good he is. Who is going to beat this squad? Who tell me? Who's going to beat him? Who's going to beat them? I don't see it. Not right now. And I know we are early in the season. It is only the 3rd game, so I want everybody to kind of temper their expectations. But when you really sit down and think about it, they beat that bugaboo in Seattle already. Doesn't matter if they had Cam Chancellor or not. They were going to beat them regardless. That was a hard-fought game. It was a character win. Now you have that confidence that you can beat them. Not that you didn't last season, but again, some game things happen, and you know, we all know what happened in the NFC Championship game. Who is really going to beat this squad? I think the only people that are going to beat them are themselves. It is exciting to watch someone the caliber of Aaron Rodgers play at such an exceptional level that you can't even put words to it. It's amazing what he's able to go out there and do. It really is amazing. We spoke about Randall Cobb a little bit. 7 catches, 91 yards, 3 touchdowns on a bum shoulder. Amazing. He's going out there and he's still producing, which is what you hoped would happen. Hey, he's the unquestioned number 1 receiver. Everybody knows that going into their game plan. They game plan for him. They know he's not 100%, but now you see that he's still able to go out there and make plays. Partly due to Aaron Rodgers being able to put the ball in the proper spots at the proper time. There is no defense for the perfect pass. And as a receiver, you need to make sure that you catch those perfect passes because he's putting it right on you. So there's no excuse for you not to catch it. Fantastic performance last night. I believe it was his first 3 touchdown game. We spoke about James Jones pretty much coming fresh off the street and has come in and picked up where he left off in Green Bay, doing nothing but catching touchdown passes. 7 catches, 139 yards, and a touchdown. I believe he and Cobb, I believe they combined for 14 catches, 230 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That is what you want out of your receiving core. And not to mention, Ty Montgomery. Shout out to Ty Montgomery. He got his first NFL touchdown reception. Took his first Lambeau leap. He even tweeted about it. It's pure joy. The youngins are really starting to step up. And this is all without Jordy Nelson, a fully healthy Eddie Lacy. The beat just continues to go on. This offensive line is fantastic. Probably one of the best that we've seen at Green Bay in a long, long time. We always said, keep Rodgers' jersey clean, and he's going to pick every defense apart. And that is what they have been able to do. And they did an exceptional job against the likes of Tamba Hali and Justin Houston. They did a fantastic job on those guys. Those are two premier pass rushers on defense. Now, don't get me wrong. They took him down a few times, but for the most part, they kept Rodgers' jersey clean. And he picked those guys apart. So kudos to that offense. They continue to move along, chug along. They're firing on all cylinders. Again, this is without a healthy Eddie Lacy. You have James Starks back there. He's more than capable. But regardless of all the injuries, guys going down, Devontae Adams is back down again. We've already talked about being without Jordy Nelson. The beat continues to go on for this offense. So fantastic game for the offense. Let's get to this defense, though. Let's call it a tale of two halves. First half, and you know what? Maybe even partly into the third quarter. This defense was as dominant as any defense in the league. It was reminiscent of that defense that played in the second half of last season when they moved Clay Matthews inside. They became a better defense. They became more dominant. I think guys are really starting to get it. They are really starting to get it. And what are they starting to get? They're starting to get this Dom Capers system. Now, I need to say something to all Packer fans out there right here, right now. And I want you to listen very, very closely when I say this. In regards to Dom Capers, shut the hell up. I love you, but all of you need to be quiet. I'm on the record as saying, and you go and check this. I've said it on Facebook. I've said it on Twitter. I've said it on camera. When Dom Capers has the proper talent, the proper personnel, his defenses are dominant. They are ball hawking defenses. They are takeaway defenses. And you really began to saw that towards in the second half of last season. And now you've seen it in maybe 2 out of the 3 games this year. Stop with all this Dom Capers hate. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would much rather have Dom Capers on our team with this talent than to have to face him on someone else's team when he has the proper talent. Dom Capers is one of the most premier, he's one of the greatest defensive minds this game has ever seen. And I think there's a lot of people who would agree with me on that. You guys want to sit there and cry and talk about fire Dom Capers. I'm like, are you crazy? What is wrong with you? Why would you fight? Who would you bring in? You want to go through another Ray Rhodes season? I know Ray Rhodes was the head coach. You seen what he did. He went 8-8. 1 year, gone. What, you want to bring him in as a defensive coordinator? What is he going to do? Oh, you want to bring in Mike Smith, former Atlanta Falcons head coach, who didn't do too hot on defense while he was down there. Last I checked, Aaron Rodgers picked his defense apart in the playoffs on the way to the Super Bowl. There aren't that many preeminent, fantastic, great minds on defense available out there. You have a lot of flash in the pan type of guys, or you have a lot of guys who are younger or who are still trying to build their reputation. But why go after those guys when you have a great mind right there? A guy who's been a head coach on expansion teams, which is something that is so incredibly hard to do. So all of this Dom Capers hate needs to stop. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely stupid. That man did not have the proper talent for many years here. Maybe he had it 1 year. That was the year they won the Super Bowl when they were the second ranked defense overall, and they allowed 15.1 points per game. Won the Super Bowl with that. I think a lot of people are going to go out there and win a lot of games with that kind of a defense and maybe a championship. And they did that. But after that, they started drafting a lot of guys, putting them out of position. And you've seen what happened. It was not a very good defense. There's only so much Dom Capers can do. You need to give him the proper talent so he can go out there and show how great of a mind for defense he really has. Yeah, some guys you need to coach up. I get that. But you still need to have the proper talent in place. And I truly believe they have the proper talent in place this year. They have the proper talent in place. And you saw that last night. B.J. Raji played a hell of a game yet again. He is making life tough on running backs, on everyone's running game. He is making life a living hell. Jamal Charles, yeah, he had 3 touchdowns. Yes, he did. But look at the rest of the stat line. 15 carries for 49 yards. This is coming off of a game in which the defense gave up 15 carries for 41 yards to Marshawn Lynch. So you dealt with a bruising power back and a shifty, quick, turn the corner, get on the outside type of back in Jamal Charles in back-to-back weeks, and you've held those guys in the 40s into 15 carries. Again, he did have the 3 touchdowns, made things a little bit more interesting at Lambeau Field. But you got to look at what they did. You have to look at what they did. 15 carries, 49 yards. Last week, 15 carries, 41 yards. That's phenomenal work being done by the rushing defense. And they matched what the passing defense did. The passing defense continues to play well. Demarius Randall, the rook, coming up big, still playing well. Haven't seen any type of drop-off just yet. Again, it's early in the season. We hope he can continue to sustain this. Sam Shields with a pick, huge pick. And also a huge hustle pursuit play on a turnover. It's and I don't think it was a turnover, but it was a huge he came all the way up towards this guy, showing why he's one of the fastest men in the NFL and stopped that guy from scoring. And I believe it was on a pass play or something like that. The situation escapes me, but I do remember him hustling his ass off to go and catch this guy and tackle him and get him down. Showed his speed. There were 2 Packers well ahead of Sam Shields. And Sam Shields was still the guy that ran up, caught up with the guy, tackled him, got him down. That's that type of hustle. That's that type of passion that I like to see. Yeah, it's a big play right here, but you know what? You ain't scoring. I'm going to catch up with you. You're not going to see me quit on this play. So Sam Shields definitely showing his worth as well. Mike Daniels continues to be a nasty force. Remember, he's the guy that was calling for this defense to get nasty. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of that. You're starting to see Dom Capers' and probably Mike McCarthy's, but I think more so Dom Capers' vision. A nasty front that you're not going to be able to run up against, and we're still going to be able to get pressure off of it with B.J. Raji and Mike Daniels. Those guys played phenomenal. Mike Daniels had 1.5 sacks last night. Clay Matthews, they moved him all over the field. He continues to be that dangerous predator. He had 2 sacks. It was Sack City, USA last night. Sack City, yeah, Sack City. That's what it was last night at Lambeau Field. Those guys were running Dom Capers' exotic blitz packages perfectly, except for one, which was a patented Dom Capers cornerback blitz, well disguised, but Julius Peppers, and I want to say it was Demarius Randall, collided into each other. And I think it was Julius Peppers who blitzed the wrong gap. Because that was a patented Dom Capers cornerback blitz. Meant for the cornerback to come up and get him. That's the same blitz that he ran with Charles Woodson. That was so effective. And it's been really effective everywhere he's gone. When he was at Pittsburgh, no matter where he's been, it's been effective. That is the patented cornerback blitz by Dom Capers, and it was botched. So you had a lot of guys who played well on defense, but here's my problem. And I know a lot of people are going to sit up there and say, well, look, Tristain, they won 38-28. What possible problems could you be having with how they played? Well, I mean, how can you pick this apart? Well, you just gushed over the offense. Why you always got to say something about the defense? Well, if you're a Green Bay Packer fan, and have been all your life, like I have been, you notice trends. And the trend on this team, at least all of my life, has been great offense, and the defense has been a few steps behind. Now, when Brett Favre won his Super Bowl and they went back to another the next year, their defense was top 3, I believe. I believe one year they had the number 1 offense, number 1 defense, and number 2 special teams. I don't know if that was the year they won the Super Bowl or if that was the year after. Maybe I had those numbers mixed up. But I know they had the top 2 units. So that's probably the only year that I've seen that. And the year they won the Super Bowl in 2010 with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, I don't know that their offense wasn't number 1, but I know for a fact it was top 10. And their defense was 2nd overall. So it's a trend. But here's the thing that bothers me. This season should be about finishing. It should be about finishing. And if you are looking at the Toss page on Facebook, that's T on Sports Show at Facebook, TON Sports Show. If you're taking a gander at our page all night on Monday night, I was covering that game and giving the kind of the play-by-play. And I believe the last post I published to that page was the fact that things got interesting late, but the Packers vanquished the Chiefs 38-28. Things should not have been that close. And the only reason why they got that damn close is because this defense decided to take their foot off the necks of the Kansas City Chiefs. What did I just say maybe about 45 seconds ago? This season should be about finishing. Finishing. This should be about finishing the job. Last year, and I hate to go back to that painful memory of the NFC Championship, but I got to go there. I got to go there to prove my point. You did not finish. Clearly, you didn't finish. Because you lost that game and you were up. You were up 16-3, I believe. Or whatever the damn score was. It's a painful memory. You try to block it out. But you were up. You pretty much played the perfect first half with the exception of you did not cash in the red zone. With all those turnovers you forced from Russell Wilson. Really, that was the key all game. Conservative game calling. Defense got turnovers. Remember that critical interception? And I do not remember if it was Clinton Dix or if it was Morgan Burnett, but they intercepted the ball and they decided to slide down instead of taking it all the way into scoring position and giving your squad a chance to get more points and put these cats away. That entire game was about not finishing. You did not finish. People are going to point to the Brandon Bostic botched onside kick when he should have never been the one trying to catch that ball anyway. This is the hands team. There was Jordy Nelson right there. He is the guy that is targeted to catch that football. You didn't finish in that game. So you would think they would have learned a lesson. But last night's game really concerned me on defense because I don't think they really learned a lesson. You let those cats back in the game. You let those dudes back in the game. You let them back in the game. You were crushing those fools. Crushing them. It was what? 38-7, 38-14 at one point? You keep sending those hounds until there's no more time on the clock. Because you can't afford to let your foot up off the gas. You can't afford to let your foot off the neck of teams when you already have them down. You need to keep going. And there's going to be people out there that say, oh, well, you don't want to show anybody up. No, you need to stop me if you don't want this to happen. And I don't care if it was happening against the Packers. Okay, I don't care if it was a 51-14 defeat for the Packers. If they're not going to stop that other team from scoring, then they deserve every single point they get put up on them. It's not bad sportsmanship. This is professional football. Guys' jobs are on the line. You need to go out there, you need to coach, and you need to coach to win. There is no time to sit up there and let your foot off the neck of your opponent when you have them down. And the Green Bay Packers on defense let those guys get back up and made it a closer game than it should have been. Things would have been a hell of a lot more interesting had they made that 2-point conversion. Let it have become a 38-30 game and see what would have happened. A lot of crazy things can happen. It would have been another onside kick situation. You don't have Jordy Nelson there, so he's not on the hands team. And I know they've had an onside kick situation before, but you don't want to go through that too many times. It shouldn't even come down to that. That means you let guys get too close after you had them down. So they almost let that situation happen. You need to finish games. Send those hounds until there is no time left on the clock. I have no idea what kind of defense they went into after about midway in the third quarter. I have no idea what type of defense those guys decided to go into. Have no clue. Don't know what that was. Was it the prevent? Because most of y'all who know me know what I call the prevent. I call it the prostitute defense because you're going to get scored on. You do not let up the pressure. You keep blitzing those guys into the ground. You keep your foot on the gas and you keep going. You keep your foot on their neck until there is no time left on the clock. You finish. You finish. And that's the only problem I had with last night's game. That's the only thing that concerns me. And that's the only thing that concerns me moving forward. This defense is getting nasty. This defense is really starting to play on a level that the offense has always played, at a very high level. Yes, it's early in the season. I understand that. Yes, there's room for improvement. I understand that too. But you don't want that to become a habit, especially after what happened that ended your season last year. Yeah, it's a fresh new season. I know this, but there's lessons to be learned from that. And letting your foot off the gas late in that second half showed me that maybe that lesson wasn't really learned. Made it closer than it needed to be. But that was my only problem. That was my only problem. And I hope they address that, because you don't want that situation coming back. That's not something that you need to have happen ever again. Finish. And finish strong. You blitz those dudes until there is no time left on the clock. If they can't stop you, that's on them. But you continue to go out there, you execute, and you finish the game. But the Packers won, again, 38-28. Monday Night Football, Lambeau Field, extending the NFL's current longest home winning streak to 11. So they kept that ride going. I believe it is, I guess you can officially say that the Lambeau mystique is back. I think we can all be comfortable in saying that. We've made it a place that people do not want to play in. And that's what you need. Oh, and I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. P, former talking, well, I shouldn't say former, but fellow Talking the Talk champion of, I believe, a couple seasons ago, 2013, of Home Court Sports, as well as Lamont of Home Court Sports. Big shout out to those guys. They made it up there to Lambeau and was in the house. I think each of them in each these past home games. I'll be up there in November for the Detroit game. Hopefully it's still worth something at that point, at least for Detroit. Hopefully we have things locked up by then. But yeah, I'll make it there too one of these later on in the season. So big ups to those guys. They had me on the show a few times. I just want to show them some love because they definitely show me some love. Listen to those guys each and every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time on Blog Talk Radio, Home Court Sports Radio Show. Those guys do a fantastic job. Mr. C, I didn't forget you either. Those guys do a fantastic job. Just wanted to show them some love. And speaking of those guys on Home Court Sports, they really do a fantastic job on the Milwaukee Bucks. That's the next subject we're about to jump into on State of the State are the Milwaukee Bucks. There's a lot of things going on. As I record this, training camp started today. Fantastic times. You know, it was great seeing those pictures of those guys on the court. They're holding it in Madison, Wisconsin, and they did that for a very specific reason. Jason Kidd spoke about that at Media Day, which happened Monday, saying that they wanted to show that this is Wisconsin's team. Guess who said that on Toss just a few weeks ago? Everything you see that they're doing, they're incorporating all Wisconsin. The bus tours that they did with John Henson on the first one, and then you had Jabari Parker on the second one, which he was in lacrosse, and I could not attend. So I missed him. So big ups, Jabari Parker. You came way out here. You made a lot of people happy. There was a huge line. Saw pictures for that. Made a lot of people happy, them coming out here. And that's what you want. They're traveling all over the state. They're getting the whole state involved and letting them know that it is not just the Milwaukee Bucks. This is really all Wisconsin's team, just like the Green Bay Packers do. So if that's what you want, that's what you need to do. You need to show the entire state level and let them know that we are representing you. We're not just representing the city that goes along with our team name. This is Wisconsin's team. And I really, really love that about the ownership and what they're doing with that. I mentioned that Media Day happened the day before, on Monday. And there was a development before Media Day even took place. It was announced that former NBA president of basketball operations, Rod Thorn, who actually retired from that position today, not today, but this year, a couple of months ago, to a huge ovation from NBA fans at the NBA draft for everything that he's done for the league, was hired on as a special consultant. As soon as I found this out, I immediately hit Twitter and said, this is a great hire. Another great basketball mind and a high basketball IQ. A lot of people might be scratching their heads saying, who is Rod Thorn? Who? What? And some of you people know who he is because you immediately took to your social media pages and said, hey, man, this is fantastic. This is another great hire. Love this move. So let me educate those who don't know who Rod Thorn is to show you who he is. You guys all know Michael Jordan, right? We all know who MJ is. We all know who his airness is. The greatest of all time. There is not a discussion. There is not a debate. Greatest of all time. That Michael Jordan. Guess who drafted him to the Chicago Bulls with the 3rd overall pick? Rod Thorn. High basketball IQ right there. Rod Thorn was also the general manager of the New Jersey Nets. A lot of kids are saying, huh? What? Don't you mean the Brooklyn Nets? Well, they were in New Jersey first, people. Got to educate the youngins out there. He constructed a team that went to back-to-back NBA Finals, I believe in 2002 and 2003. He orchestrated a trade for a premier point guard. You all know who that point guard was? None other than the current Milwaukee Bucks head coach, Jason Kidd. Put a hell of a team together. And those guys made 2 finals runs. Ran into the Lakers both years. And we all know how those Lakers teams were. They were stout. But he put that team together. Over 50 years of NBA experience, being both a GM on the team level, also a player. Was a great player, was a 2-time All-American, I believe, at West Virginia. Great college player, had a great, 8 or 9 year career in the NBA, played for multiple teams as well. But really his mark was made being in basketball administration, being the GM for teams like the Bulls, the Nets, and also being on the NBA level, in the executive NBA level, being president of basketball operations for the entire NBA. Fantastic hire. This is what you need to do when you're trying to build a championship organization. You need to surround yourself with preeminent basketball minds, guys who know what to do in certain situations, or at the very least can give you some guidance on what they've done and the things that they've been through, so they can help you make the best possible decision. This is fantastic. This shows that the owners and that Jason Kidd and that entire organization of the Milwaukee Bucks gets it. They get it. You're dealing with a relatively young head coach. It's still very, very early in his career. This is his third head coaching season for Jason Kidd. Just his third. I mean, look at what he's done in 2 seasons. And he took the Brooklyn Nets, who were left for dead in the first half of that season, changed the style completely up, and made the playoffs and won a playoff series against Toronto. And then he took the Milwaukee Bucks, who had 15 wins the year prior to a 41-41 6th seed in the East season, and pushed the Chicago Bulls to 6 games in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. He's done a lot in only about 2 years, and he's so well respected. Earned those stripes as a player. Now he's earned them as a coach. So you got to give him his credit. But you have to give the Bucks organization as a whole credit for what they are doing. They are putting together a fantastic organization from top to bottom. When was the last time you've seen a president of the Milwaukee Bucks? I don't recall there ever being one, really. They appointed one there. You have Rod Thorne onto the club. You see what they've done with the logos, incorporating the state of Wisconsin, Lake Michigan, Cream City, the only NBA team with cream as their primary color. They are doing so many great things. Free agency pickups, smart signings, re-signing Chris Middleton, getting Greg Monroe. They're starting to make proper moves, proper trades. You're starting to see the basketball IQ of John Hammond. Picking up Grievous Vasquez in a trade, which I think is going to be a fantastic move. It's going to be interesting to see how all of this comes together. Hey, I didn't even mention the fact that they went and lobbied hard and got this new arena. It's going to be interesting to see how things come together. Now, given what happened last season, a lot of people are going to have some bloated expectations. I'm going to ask everybody to pump their brakes. This is still a very, very young team. You got to give them time. You got to give them time. So as long as they're continuing to progress and take that next step, and it doesn't have to be a huge step, they're not going to win 60-plus games this year. I think I'm fairly comfortable in saying that. They're not going to win 60-plus this year. I don't need them to win 60-plus this year. They may not even win 50-plus this year, which I'm on record as saying I don't think they will win 50 this year. I think they'll be in that 47, 48 win range, which is fine, especially in the Eastern Conference. You could probably get a 4 seed with that. Home court advantage, who wouldn't like that? But they're putting the pieces together. They're really putting the pieces together to be a championship organization, which is what ownership said they wanted to be. And you are truly seeing it. In 2014's edition of Talking the Talk, Dennis Krause asked me, any advice? What do I think the new owners of the Milwaukee Bucks should do? Do I have any advice for them? What do I want to see out of them? And I told them, keep your word. We won a championship. You won a championship, so keep your word and do what needs to be done to bring a championship here and have sustained success. I wanted to see it. I'm a guy who's been through many situations where somebody said they were going to do something, and then it never happened. I want to see it happen. I don't want to see you just talk about it. I want you to be about it. And you see the moves that they're making. Hey, they're backing up all that talk. They're making all the proper moves to make this a championship caliber organization from top to bottom. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that because that is not something that we've seen, other than the Green Bay Packers, in the state of Wisconsin or the city of Milwaukee in ages. In ages. So it is refreshing to see it. They're making proper moves. Welcome, Rod Thorne. I am looking forward to you giving your wisdom to John Hammonds and and Jason Kidd and ownership and whatever the consulting role entails for you to do. You have a wealth of basketball knowledge, and I am glad that you are bringing it to the Milwaukee Bucks, and everyone else is happy about it. Even Jason Kidd was gushing over him, and Rod Thorne couldn't be happy. He said it's a great time to be becoming a part of the Bucks family. And I don't think anybody who knows anything about basketball, anyone who's really a deep fan like I am, was jumping up and down for joy that he has become a part of the organization. And then at Media Day, you've seen all the new additions. You've seen you saw the team in their uniform, and they're drawing caricatures. They're loose, they're having fun. Marcus Johnson, Gus Johnson were there. Everyone was there. Everyone was happy. It's great. It feels like such a loose group, but you could tell that there was focus. There was a focus there. It was just a different feel for this Media Day. Yeah, they made it fun. They made it more personable, but at the same time, you knew what the goals are. You know what the goals are. And that, I don't think that's a feel that you had at a Media Day for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I don't know how long. Maybe since the Big Three. I don't even know about that then. There's a sense from top down that the goal is to win an NBA championship. And I couldn't be happier that they are making that known, and they are making the moves. You can tangibly see these moves. They're going after championships. They're going after sustained high-level success and to win championships. And there is no reason that you cannot have that in Milwaukee. There's no reason that you cannot sustain that in Milwaukee, especially when you have people who want to be here. And speaking of people who want to be here, or rather, should I say, don't want to be here, we got some comments coming from the world champion Golden State Warriors. One of their players is thanking God every day that he ended up in the Bay. I think you guys know about it, but trust me, I'm about to go in on this situation. This is Toss. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Toss, everybody. And what I want to get into now is called the Toss Sweep. This is really the forum where I go into all the other teams and all the other leagues outside of Wisconsin. Sometimes I touch back on Wisconsin stuff in this segment, but it's the Toss Sweep. It's the Tristain on Sports show. I can do what I want, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I want to touch on the subject of something that just happened today. Again, I'm taping this on a Tuesday for premiere on a Wednesday. Derrick Rose in training camp got struck in the face by an elbow. Broken orbital bone. He's going to need surgery for that. Now, I don't know the exact timetable of when this come back. I know Reggie Miller tweeted out a tweet saying that he had the same injury, and I do remember that he did have the same injury. He encouraged Derrick Rose to get the surgery, ditch the mask, use the goggles, you'll be fine. And it is an injury you could be fine from. Anytime you're dealing with the eye, though, that's serious business. I think the bright side of this, it's not a knee injury, which is the bright side of things for the Chicago Bulls. Is the fact that it's not a knee injury. I do, however, want to talk about all the injuries that Derrick Rose has had in recent times of being with the Chicago Bulls. And these are all the injuries that he's had in all the games he's missed since winning his MVP in the 2010-2011 season. So really over the last 4 years, this is what Derrick Rose has gone through. January 2012, sprained toe, he missed 5 games. February 2012, strained back, he missed 5 games. March and April of 2012, he had a groin, ankle, and foot injury in which he missed 17 games. 2012, 2013, we all know he tore his ACL, was out for the season, so that's 82 games missed. November 2013, he tore his meniscus, missed 71 games. November of 2014 had ankle and hamstring injury, which cost him 8 more games. And in 2015, February of this year, 20 more games with a meniscus injury. I can't blame Derrick Rose for all of these injuries. Not going to blame him for that. Injuries happen. But if there was ever a player who you could say, man, he just can't stay healthy, he is just injury prone, it's Derrick Rose. Now, I'm not saying this to bash him. I'm not saying this to bash him whatsoever. I am saying this because it hurts. It hurts. It hurts seeing great players be robbed of time, be robbed of ability because of injuries, and then be unfairly skewered for it. None of these injuries were caused by reckless abandon. None of these injuries were caused by him being an idiot and getting on, let's say, a motorcycle, crashing it, and then hurting himself to a point where he could never play at the same level again. He's not a Jay Williams. You all remember the former Bulls point guard, Jay Williams, who could have been a hell of a player, but he decided to go and jump on a bike and break his leg, mess his leg up, and really came back never the same again. Had to retire. This is not one of those guys that goes out there and does stupid things like that. But for whatever reason, he just cannot catch a break. And it is unfortunate to see that. And I know a lot of people out there are going to sit up there and try to match me up and say, oh, funny pun. I'm not trying to be punny here because he broke his orbital bone. I'm just saying he cannot catch a break. He cannot catch a healthy break. And it's unfortunate because this is a guy who is worth the money you pay for a ticket. He goes out there and he plays hard. And a lot of people are out there are going to sit up to say, well, what about the time he said he didn't want to come back until he was fully healthy? I've said my piece about that. If you're healthy enough to come and contribute to the team, then you should. You should go out there and earn your paycheck. If you're worried about what your days after you're done playing are going to look like, whether or not you're going to be able to walk or anything else, then maybe you need to go and start living those days right now. I'm on the record as saying that. But he continues to want to play. It's just so tough to see great players be robbed of ability, be robbed of time, be robbed of years due to injury, and then be unfairly skewered for it. I mean, really, injuries are really no one's fault unless you go out there and do something stupid. If you're out there trying to be a trapeze artist and hurt yourself, then that's on you, because I'm pretty sure they have clauses and contracts that prevent you from going out there and doing stupid stuff like that. Same with motorcycles. I mean, that's just a crash waiting to happen. Along for an athlete. It just seems like at least for an athlete. I'm not saying there's a lot of experienced riders out there who don't get hurt, but there's a lot of guys and athletes in particular, when you get a lot of money and you feel like you're invincible and you're young, you're making these millions of dollars, you feel invincible, you go out there and do something stupid and then you end up crashing and hurting yourself, and then you end up hurting your career. But this is not one of those situations. This is just a guy who just cannot catch a healthy break. And it's just unfortunate to see because he is a premier player in this league. Yeah, I know he's on the Bulls, and as a Bucks fan, I don't like to admit that. But be real. He's a former league MVP. He is somebody that I have gone and paid money to go and see. And I'm just hoping that he gets back on the court, because I love to see great players play. I got to see Michael Jordan play. I was at the Bucks game when they won their 70th. I saw Michael and Scott. I saw all those dudes. I saw all those guys play. It is just great to see great players do what they do. And I'm just hoping that he doesn't miss a whole lot of time with this. And I'm hoping that he comes back, because, look, like I said, it's not a knee injury. It's not a leg injury. He's fully healed up from that. He's fully healthy from that. I think his knees are fine. And I'm looking forward to him going out there and having a healthy season. And hopefully he has some very subpar games against the Bucks, because I don't want him to. You can do it whatever you want against the league, except for those 4 games that you play against the Bucks every year. Those 4 games, you need to do nothing. Do nothing. I'm not even going to do nothing. I hope you have 0 points and like 2 assists, and that's it. Every single game. But those other games, those other 78 games, you can go and do what you need to do against those squads. Just those 4 against the Bucks, do nothing. But I'm hoping that he comes back healthy. Like I said, I hope he catches a healthy break so we can go and see that explosiveness. We could go and see that league MVP that we all saw, just a few years ago. It seems like a lifetime ago he was a league MVP, and it really wasn't. It's only been 4 years. So in 4 years, he's gone through all this mess. It's just crazy to think about. So get well soon. Like I said, run roughshod on the league, except for those 4 games against the Bucks. But Derrick Rose, get well soon. We hope to see you back on the court fully healthy really, really soon. Like I said, I don't know the timetable of the injury. I don't know how much time he'll miss. He's going to have surgery on that fractured orbital bone. But come back healthy, run roughshod on everybody else. Just do squat against the Bucks. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, let's get to a subject that I am a bit, I don't know what you could say, pissed off about, but at the same time, very calm about, but at the same time, very fed up with. Let me explain what I mean when I say all this. Maybe about 4 days ago, comments from Klay Thompson of the world champion Golden State Warriors came out in regards to the draft that he was in. Comments were made by him, and let me give you guys a full context of his comments, because I think a lot of people saw the comments, but they don't know where they came from. So let me give you the full context of it. He was answering the question of an 8th grader. I guess the 8th grader asked him, how did he end up on the Warriors? To which Klay Thompson replied, well, I originally thought, coming out of the draft my junior year, I thought I was going to go to Milwaukee, but they passed me up. I thank God every day, and I ended up in the Bay. Now, these comments could be taken one of 2 ways, or one of 3 ways, but there's one side of the fence or the other where he was coming from on this. One, it could be the pure joy and ecstasy of winning a world championship with the Warriors, being out in the Bay. He's got a ring. Wouldn't you be happy that you ended up in that situation? He's happy he's in the Bay because he won a ring. I'd be happy too. Andrew Bogut, former number 1 overall pick of the Milwaukee Bucks, he's got a ring with that squad. I don't think he's any less appreciative of the time that he spent in Milwaukee, but I can guarantee you that he's damn happy about the situation he's in, especially about the fact that he got a ring, regardless of how much he played in the NBA Finals or not. So on one side, you could take it as, hey, he's happy he's in the Bay. He's a representative of the Warriors. He's saying he's happy where he is. He won a ring. Why wouldn't you be happy about being in a situation where you won a championship and could quite possibly win another one? There hasn't been a lot of talk about those guys reaping, but hey, they could quite possibly go out there and win another ring. Here's the flip side. He could be another punk-ass athlete dissing Milwaukee in the state of Wisconsin. I cannot tell you how sick and damn tired I am of that. I am sick and damn tired of athletes complaining about it being cold. It's cold in New York. Oh, well, there's a lot of snow. There's more snow on the East Coast than there is in Wisconsin. Oh, it's too much cold and snow. It's not enough to do there. I don't want to live there. much less play there. So boring. Nothing but fields and cows there. Are you kidding me? I want everybody to do me a favor. Because this brings up a memory. I want you to go to YouTube and I want you to put in annoyed Kevin Hunt and watch that clip. Because he said the exact same thing I did. And this clip was like, I believe, from 9 years ago. He used to be the sports director of WTMJ4 in Milwaukee. I enjoyed his sportscast. Brought a little bit of quirkiness to it. Had a lot of fun with it. I believe he's out in Arizona now. But he started off that clip with a bunch of he started off that particular sportscast with a bunch of clips of guys dissing Milwaukee. And they were clips from the now defunct Best Damn Sports Show Ever. Or Best Damn Sports Show Around, or whatever the hell the name of that show was. All I remember is that it was Best Damn in it. And you see guys like John Sally and this one really, really pisses me off. Gary Payton putting down Milwaukee. Just putting down Milwaukee. And let's start on Gary Payton here. Awful. One of the worst trades in Bucks history. There is no reason Ray Allen should have ever been traded for old ass Gary Payton, who you knew was not going to stick around. But look at what regime it was. It was the old regime where they did not make the smartest decisions. But he's running down Milwaukee. John Sally is running down Milwaukee. Then Kevin Hunt brings in a clip where, and I forgot the year of the draft, but the Bucks had drafted Todd Day. And he's interviewing him. And I guess they stopped for whatever reason. And the cameras were still going and the mic was still live. And they call him saying, Milwaukee. Damn. And he's shaking his head and all this and that. Like, are you kidding me? You are a scrub. Were a scrub. Had no business being in the league. And you sit up here having the audacity to run down the team that just drafted you and gave you your opportunity to achieve your dream of playing in the NBA and make millions of dollars doing it. Klay Thompson, you have the audacity to sit here and run down Milwaukee when you weren't even a drafted player yet. You're going to sit here and run down the town that could quite possibly have drafted you, giving you your opportunity to fulfill your dreams of playing NBA ball and making millions of dollars doing it. I get it. Look, the organization was different then. They did not make the best decisions. Those days are long gone. Those days are over. Long gone. This is the age of Wisconsin sports where people are making smart decisions. Ownership has been shifted. They are putting people in place to make the best possible decisions for sustained longevity and sustained success. So I guess all I can say is don't let these comments rile you up too much. Everybody who was on our squad wants to be there. Everyone who was on the Milwaukee Bucks wants to be there and wants to be a part of a championship caliber ball club, a championship caliber franchise. That is what we want. We don't want pompous jerks shunning a team, shunning a city before they have even been drafted because you know you don't want to be here. Fine. We don't want your ass anyway. We're on the rise. And I think all of that we've been through, Milwaukee deserves this. Wisconsin deserves this. We don't deserve people like you who don't want to be here. So be happy with your ring. Be happy with it. But just know, The Milwaukee Bucks, their squad, their coaching staff, their ownership, and their fans are going to have one of their own real soon. This is Toss. All right, everybody, it's time for me to get on up out of here. That was another episode of the Tristain on Sports Show Toss. Dropping every single Wednesday, dropping that heat, always in the kitchen, trying to come up with great content for you guys. And I want to hear from you. We got that Facebook page there. It's starting to grow. People are starting to listen. I want to thank everybody that shared it so far. Keep watching, keep listening, keep sharing. And I want to hear you guys discuss things. I want to see you discuss it. So comment, like, share, debate, do all that on that page. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That is TON Sports Show. We also got my Twitter, my personal Twitter at the20double. That is at the20double. Like I said, I'm always on there. I'm always debating something. I'm always commenting something. I usually live tweet games. Got a lot going on the page, so definitely follow me there. Interact with me there. Hey guys, I'm open. I want to hear from you guys. I want your questions. I would love to do a question and answer show here, just basically based off of your topics really, really soon. So again, hit up the Facebook page, T on Sports Show at Facebook, and hit up my personal Twitter at the20double. And remember, always listen to Toss on his Toss Show. That's TOSSSHOW.libsyn.com. That is where you can listen to us each and every single Wednesday. Like I said, I got heat dropping for y'all each and every single Wednesday. Thank all of you for your support thus far, but we want to grow it. We want to get it bigger, and we can't do that without all of you guys. So please like, share, comment. Always listen to Toss. We're just getting started for you guys. So, as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is T Squared, Tristain Thomas, reminding all of you that dreams don't catch themselves. Get up, get out, and get after it. Until next week, so long from Toss.